It was a cold night in New Chicago. The wind blew hard through the empty streets, pushing dust and old paper across the sidewalks. Eli Mercer pulled his coat tighter around himself as he walked home from his night shift at the auto repair shop. His hands were stained with oil, and his boots scraped the pavement with every step. He took a shortcut through a back alley. It was dark and narrow, lit only by a flickering street lamp at the far end. Eli didn't like alleys, but he was tired and hungry. He just wanted to get home. Then he heard it, a sound that made him stop. It was like a low groan, mixed with something wet. Then came a strange clicking noise, like bones or metal tapping together. Eli froze. He looked around. The alley was empty, almost. Something was lying near the dumpster. It moved slightly. Eli stepped forward carefully, his heart pounding. "Hello?" he called out, unsure. There was no answer. He moved closer and saw it clearly. A body, but not a human one. It had grayish skin, long arms, and fingers with extra joints. Its eyes glowed faintly, and its chest rose and fell slowly, like it was struggling to breathe. Eli stared in shock. An alien. His first thought was to run. He had seen strange things on the news, stories of odd lights in the sky, missing people, secret government groups, but he never believed them. Yet here it was. Real. Right in front of him. The creature groaned again. One of its arms twitched. Eli dropped to his knees beside it. His hands moved on their own the way they had when he was a medic in the army. He checked the creature's pulse. It was weak, but there. "Hang on," Eli said softly, even though he knew the alien wouldn't understand. The creature's chest had a wound, not bleeding but leaking a dark, thick fluid. Eli didn't know what it was, but it reminded him of engine oil. He tore open his backpack and pulled out a small first aid kit he always carried. Working quickly, he cleaned the wound as best as he could. The alien made a soft clicking sound like it was trying to speak. "Don't talk," Eli said gently. "Just stay still." He wrapped the wound with bandages, then looked around. The alley was still empty. No one had seen him. He couldn't leave the alien here. It would die. Against his better judgment, Eli lifted the alien into his arms. It was heavier than it looked, but not too much. He walked carefully, sticking to the shadows, all the way back to his small house. Inside his garage, Eli placed the alien on a pile of blankets. He connected an old oxygen tank from his workshop and placed the mask over the creature's face, hoping it would help. The alien's eyes opened halfway. They glowed a soft blue now. It looked at Eli. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Then the alien moved its lips and said in a hoarse whisper, "Virek." Then it passed out. Eli blinked. "Virek?" he repeated. "Is that your name? Your planet?" He didn't get an answer. He stayed up most of the night watching over the creature. He checked its pulse, kept the oxygen running, and wiped the sweat, or whatever it was, off its forehead. At some point, he dozed off on a chair beside the alien. The next morning, Eli woke up to a loud sound. Thoom! The whole house shook. He jumped up and ran to the window. His eyes widened. Black trucks had pulled up outside. Soldiers in strange armor were spreading out, surrounding his house. Strange flying machines hovered above like small ships, but nothing like the helicopters he knew. He heard a voice shout from outside through a loudspeaker. "Eli Mercer, step outside with your hands up. You are harboring a Class 5 interstellar fugitive." Eli's heart dropped. He looked back at the garage. The alien was awake now. It had sat up slightly, wincing in pain. It looked at him, then at the garage door. More voices shouted outside. Someone banged on the front door. "What did I do?" Eli whispered. The alien raised a weak hand and tapped its chest. Then it pointed at Eli. "You chose me," Eli said, his voice shaking. "Why?" The alien just closed its eyes again. Another loud bang shook the door. Eli had no idea what was happening, but he knew one thing. His life would never be the same again. Eli's hands were shaking. He stood near the garage door, not knowing what to do. Outside, soldiers in black armor spread out around his house. Their faces were hidden behind silver masks. Their weapons looked strange, long, smooth, glowing. At the tips. The loudspeaker called out again. Eli Mercer, you have 10 seconds to step outside. The alien behind him, Kale, if that was its name, made a soft clicking sound. It was trying to stand, even with the bandages still tight around its chest. Eli turned to it. You can't move. You're hurt. Kyle gave a short nod and sat back down. The front door shook again. They were trying to break it. Eli had no time. He opened the side door to the garage and stepped out, his hands raised high. The cold morning air hit him, but the weapons pointed at his chest made him forget the chill. I'm Eli Mercer. He shouted. I didn't do anything wrong, I just helped someone. The soldiers didn't speak. They moved closer, surrounding him. A large black vehicle rolled to a stop beside them. Its doors opened and a tall woman stepped out. She wore a sleek black uniform with silver lines on the shoulders. Her eyes were sharp, and she walked like someone who was used to giving orders. I'm Commander Rail of the Earth Defense Coalition, she said, looking Eli over. Where is the alien? Eli hesitated. He's hurt. I didn't know what he was. I just saw someone dying and helped. Rail nodded slightly. That was a kind act, Mr. Mercer, but you have no idea what kind of trouble you've stepped into. She motioned to her soldiers. Secure the house. Bring the alien out alive. 2 soldiers entered the garage. Eli stood helpless as they rushed in. Inside, Kale sat silently. When the soldiers came close, his eyes glowed brighter, and a blue shield of energy flickered around his body. The soldiers stopped. One tried to touch the shield. Electricity sparked, and the soldier jumped back. Kale looked at Eli and made a soft sound. The soldiers raised their weapons. Wait, Eli shouted. He's not trying to hurt anyone. Commander Rail walked into the garage herself. She stared at Kale, then turned to Eli. Do you know who this is? She asked. Eli shook his head. He said one word, Virek. Rail nodded. That's not a name. That's a group. A resistance force fighting against a powerful empire across the stars. Eli blinked. Resistance? Empire? Rail sighed. It's time you learned the truth. Eli sat inside the black vehicle, hands still shaking. Kale was in a secured section in the back under a strange force field. The vehicle moved quickly, faster than anything Eli had ever ridden before. It didn't feel like it had wheels. It hovered above the ground. Commander Rail sat beside him. Earth isn't alone in the universe, she began. Our planet made contact with alien life over 30 years ago. Secretly, the leaders decided not to tell the public. Why? Eli asked, confused. They thought people would panic. Wars, fear, chaos. Instead, we built a quiet defense. The Earth Defense Coalition. Our job is to manage alien contact, both friendly and dangerous. And Kale? Eli asked. He's part of the Virek resistance. They're fighting the Orthon Dominion, a brutal force that conquers worlds and enslaves species. The Virek have been losing. Badly. Eli looked down at his hands. So why come to Earth? Rail looked serious. Because Earth might be their last hope. At the EDC base deep underground, Kale was placed in a special healing chamber. Machines scanned his body while energy fields worked to repair his injuries. Eli watched from behind thick glass. Rail stood beside him. He came here for something, she said. We just don't know what yet. Eli glanced at her. He pointed at me, touched his chest, said I was chosen. Rail frowned. That worries me. Eli turned to her. Why? Rail sighed. Because the Orthon don't choose people. They destroy them. If he chose you, it means you're important, and that means the Orthon are already on their way. Later that night, alarms rang across the base. Eli jumped up from the cot where he had been resting. Red lights flashed on the walls. Soldiers ran down the halls. What's happening? He asked one of them. Escape attempt, the soldier shouted, rushing past. Eli ran toward the lab where Kale had been kept. When he arrived, the glass was shattered. Guards were unconscious on the floor. Kale stood in the center of the room holding a strange round device that glowed blue. Commander. Rail entered behind Eli. Don't move! Kale didn't attack. Instead, he looked at Eli and said in a rough but clearer voice, Come. Eli stared. Come where? Kale pressed the device. A beam of light appeared above them, a holographic star map. It showed hundreds of stars, but most were covered in red. Rail's eyes widened. That's a Dominion map. Kale pointed at Earth. A red ring pulsed around it. They know, Kale said. Rail spoke slowly. The Orthon know he's here. Kale looked at Eli. You are key. You matter. Rail stepped forward. Why him? He's just a mechanic. Kale shook his head. Not just human blood. His blood can stop them. Eli was shocked. What do you mean? Kale struggled to stand straight. Orthon control. Minds. Use signals. Your blood blocks signal. Only human who can. Rail turned to Eli, her face pale. He's not lying. There were experiments years ago. Secret gene trials. Maybe one worked. You might be the result. Eli couldn't breathe for a moment. I'm not special. I'm just Eli. I fix cars. I eat frozen pizza. I live alone. Kyle placed a hand on his shoulder. Kindness big was first power. Now, greater power waits. Suddenly, the holographic map blinked again. A signal flashed in one corner. Kale looked up. They come. Rail's voice was grim. Orthon ships are on their way. Eli whispered, Because I helped someone in an alley? Rail nodded. Because you might be the one thing they can't control. The air in the Earth Defense Coalition base felt heavy, not because of pressure or heat, but because of fear. Kale stood weak, but firm. His wound was healing inside the alien healing chamber, but his blue skin still looked pale. Eli stood beside him, heart-pounding. Across the room, Commander Rail gave orders to her officers. Prepare sky defenses. Shield Earth's orbit. We must not let them land. One soldier stepped forward. Commander, the Orthon ships will reach orbit in less than 12 hours. Eli turned to Kyle. Is that enough time to stop them? Kyle shook his head slowly. No. They come ready, strong. Need to run. Rail frowned. Run? That's not an option. Earth is our home. Kyle looked at her with serious eyes. Then fight. But need Eli. He is key. Rail nodded slowly. Then we protect him at all cost. Eli had never been to space. He had never even left the country. Now he sat inside a sleek black shuttle next to Kale and two EDC guards. They rose fast into the sky, breaking through the clouds, leaving Earth far below. He pressed his face to the window. Stars stretched in all directions. Earth looked small, like a blue marble floating in the dark. Kale spoke softly. You are brave. Eli laughed nervously. No, just scared and unlucky. Kale shook his head. You helped stranger. That is rare. That is hope. The guards didn't say anything. They only watched the radar screen in front of them. Lights blinked. Red dots were approaching. Fast. The shuttle arrived at a hidden defense station orbiting Earth. It was shaped like a ring, silver and white, with long towers reaching into space. This was where Earth's last space weapons were kept, just in case of emergency. Eli followed Kyle into the station. He wore a borrowed EDC uniform, though it was too tight on his arms. Inside, officers and engineers moved quickly, setting up defense lines. Commander Rail appeared on a screen. Eli, Kale, listen carefully. We have detected 5 Orthon battle cruisers. They are huge, each the size of a small city. They are not here to talk. Eli swallowed hard. What can we do? Rail looked directly at him. Your blood carries something strange. A signal blocker. We believe the Orthon control technology and people using mind signals. If you are near their machines, you may be able to shut them down. Eli blinked. I'm just one guy. Rail replied. You may be one guy, but you're human. And that's what they don't understand. Kale stepped forward. We go together. I help. You believe. Soon after, the Orthon ships entered Earth's orbit. They were massive, black like sharp knives floating in the dark. Each had rows of glowing red lights, long arms stretched from their sides, humming with energy. The first attack began. Energy blasts hit Earth's space defenses. The sky around the station lit up like a storm. The defense station fired back. Long beams of blue energy shot toward the enemy ships, hitting shields and armor. The entire station shook as the battle began. Kyle led Eli to a small ship hidden in the hangar. We go now, to their control vessel. Eli hesitated. Into their ship? Are you serious? Kale nodded. You can stop them from inside. Eli took a deep breath. Okay, let's do it. Their ship was small and fast. It dodged between enemy fire, spinning and diving as Kale controlled it with steady hands. Eli held onto his seat tightly, trying not to panic. Red beams flew past the windows. Explosions lit up behind them. Earth's forces were trying hard, but the enemy was stronger. Ahead, the largest Orthon ship waited. It looked like a floating fortress, covered in black metal and red glowing veins. Kyle spoke into the comm. We go dark now. No signal. They won't see us. The small ship vanished from radar. It floated silently, drifting closer and closer. At last, they reached the side of the Orthon command ship. Kale guided the ship into a maintenance tunnel and landed inside a hangar. The doors opened. Eli and Kyle stepped out quietly. The air inside was cold. Strange sounds echoed through the hallway. Clicking, humming, whispers that made Eli's skin crawl. Stay close, Kyle said softly. They moved through metal halls, hiding from patrols of Orthon soldiers. The Orthons were tall, covered in armor, with long heads and glowing red eyes. They didn't speak, only sent thoughts between each other. Kale led them into the heart of the ship. A large room with a round platform waited at the center. Strange machines floated in the air. Red lights blinked like eyes. Eli stepped forward. The machines turned toward him. Then, one by one, they began to shut down. Kale's eyes widened. It works. Eli touched another machine. It powered off instantly. Across the ship, alarms began to sound. They know, Eli said. Kyle nodded. Then we act fast. Back on the defense station, Commander Rail saw it on the radar. One of their ships is powering down. The control ship! Cheers went up from the crew. Send support to that ship, Rail ordered. Protect whoever is inside. Inside the Orthon ship, Kale and Eli were surrounded. Red eyes glowed in the shadows. The air grew thick with pressure. Voice echoed in Eli's mind. Human, you are not meant to stop us. Eli shook his head. I'm just trying to help my planet. We control all minds. You are not safe. Eli stepped forward. Then try. The voice faded. Kyle smiled faintly. You resist. You lead. Eli looked around. Machines shut down all around him. Doors opened. Lights faded. The Orthon control ship was losing power. Then, explosions rocked the ship. Rail's support team had arrived. EDC soldiers flooded the halls, fighting back the Orthon guards. A path opened for Eli and Kale to escape. They ran back to the hangar and jumped into their small ship. As they flew away, the control ship began to fall apart. Other Orthon ships blinked with confusion. Some lost control. Some retreated. The battle was turning. Back at the station, Eli sat in the medical bay, covered in scratches and dust. Kale sat beside him, quiet but alive. Rael entered the room and saluted him. You may not think you're a hero, she said. But today, Earth stands free because of your choice. Eli looked at her. I just helped someone in an alley. Rael nodded. And that act changed the galaxy. Kale smiled. Now, more will rise. Your kind gives hope. Eli leaned back and looked out the window. Earth was still turning, still shining blue. For the first time in a long while he felt something warm grow in his chest. Maybe, just maybe, this was only the beginning. Eli sat in a quiet room inside the Earth Defense Station, far above the Earth's surface. He stared out the window at the stars. The big battle was over, but his heart still raced when he thought about it. The Orthon control ship had fallen because of him. Not because he was strong or fast, but because something inside him was different. Across from him sat Kale, now stronger and walking without help. His skin had more color, and his eyes glowed a little brighter. "You still don't understand your power," Kale said softly. Eli shook his head. "I don't even understand why I have it. I didn't ask for any of this." Kale looked at him carefully. Sometimes the stars choose, not always fair, but always for a reason. Just then, Commander Rael entered the room. Her face was serious. "We have a situation," she said. "The Orthon didn't leave Earth's system. They're hiding behind the dark side of the moon." Kale's eyes narrowed. "Preparing second attack." Rael nodded. "Yes, and they've sent a message, not to us, but to you, Eli." Eli blinked. "To me? Why?" Rael handed him a small tablet. On the screen was a glowing red symbol. When he touched it, a deep voice spoke. "Human, your body blocks our minds. We wish to study it. Come alone. If you do not, your world will burn." Eli stared at the screen. "They want me to go to them?" "They want to capture you," Rael said. "You're a threat to them now." Kale stood. "You cannot go alone. It is a trap." Rael agreed. "We'll fake a response. Say we're sending him, but instead, we'll launch a surprise attack." Eli looked down at his hands. "What if they hurt people again because of me?" Rael's voice softened. "You didn't bring this danger. You just revealed their fear." Kyle stepped forward. "We must act fast. We go together. But this time, we go inside their mind. A new plan formed. Not just to fight the Orthon from outside, but to stop their control from the inside." In a secret chamber below the station, scientists worked on a device, a signal amplifier. If Eli's body blocked the Orthon's mind control, this device would make that power stronger. It could stop them from controlling anyone within miles. "Will it work?" Eli asked as they strapped the device around his chest. "Only one way to find out," a scientist said with a nervous smile. The plan was clear. Fly close to the Orthon base on the moon, land unseen, activate the amplifier, and stop their command signal. Without their control, their ships and soldiers would fall into chaos. Kale and Eli boarded the stealth ship. It was small, black, and shaped like a triangle. It made no sound, no light. Perfect for a secret mission. As they flew, the moon grew bigger in the window. "I never thought I'd see this up close," Eli whispered. Kale smiled faintly. "Many dreams begin with fear." They landed in a dark crater on the far side of the moon. The sky above them was filled with stars, and Earth was nowhere in sight. Kale led Eli through a narrow cave. Strange lights pulsed in the rock, signs the Orthon were close. At the end of the tunnel, they saw it, a massive structure built into the moon. It looked like a pyramid made of black glass, with red energy flowing through it. "That's their signal core," Kale said. "From there, they control all mines in range." Guards stood at every entrance, Orthon soldiers with glowing eyes. Eli touched the amplifier on his chest. Time to test it. He stepped forward slowly. The guards turned toward him. For a moment, they raised their weapons, then they stopped. Their eyes flickered. One by one, they dropped their weapons. Some fell to the ground, holding their heads. Others just stood still, confused. "It's working," Eli whispered. Kale nodded. "We move now." They rushed into the base. Doors opened on their own. The Orthon inside didn't stop them. Some sat in silence. Some walked in circles. The signal was broken. At the heart of the structure, they found the signal engine, a large, spinning core of red and black. Wires ran from it into the walls and floor. Kale pulled out a small sphere. "This is a collapse bomb." Once inside the engine, it will shut it down for good. He looked at Eli. I protect. You plant. Eli took the bomb with shaking hands. I hope I don't mess this up. You won't, Kale said. You are stronger than you think. Eli climbed into the signal engine's chamber. The sound was loud, like a heartbeat made of metal. Red light flashed across his face. He found the center. A socket waited for the device. As he placed the bomb, he heard the voice again. You dare stop us, human? You are small, you are weak. Eli looked around. Maybe. But I'm not alone. Your body is strange, it blocks, but it cannot destroy us. Eli smiled. It doesn't need to. He pressed the button. The core flashed bright white. Alarms sounded. The ground shook. Kyle grabbed Eli and ran. The pyramid began to collapse. Behind them. Lights went out. The control signal faded. Outside, Earth defense ships flew into the sky above the moon, ready to finish the job. Back on the station, Commander Rael watched as all enemy ships in orbit lost power and drifted. Some tried to escape, but they had no guidance, no mind to follow. The Orthon fleet broke apart. The battle was over. Eli sat in a quiet room again. This time, Kale was not beside him. He was speaking to his people, calling them from across the stars. You didn't just save Earth, Rael told Eli. You gave hope to others. Eli looked at her. I still feel like a regular guy. Rael smiled. Sometimes the regular ones do the most unexpected things. Kyle returned later that night. My people, they heard the signal. They come now, not to fight, but to join. Earth is no longer alone. Eli stood and looked out the window at the stars again. A small light blinked far away, maybe a ship coming, maybe a new friend, or maybe another challenge. But now Eli knew one thing. He wasn't afraid anymore. 3 weeks had passed since the battle on the moon. The Orthon fleet was gone, either destroyed, broken, or drifting silently in space. The Earth Defense Coalition was still on high alert, but peace had returned. People were safe. The sky was quiet. Eli sat on a bench outside the Earth Defense Base, now back on Earth. Birds chirped, and warm sunlight touched his face. It felt strange to be in nature again after everything. He looked down at the grass and smiled. I thought I'd never see this again, he whispered. Kale walked up beside him, his blue skin now glowing gently in the sunlight. His robes had changed. He no longer wore armor, but a simple white cloak with silver patterns. You saved more than just this world, Kale said softly. You changed many futures. Eli looked up at him. Me? I just helped someone in an alley. Kale nodded. And that one choice moved galaxies. Across the planet, news of the Orthon defeat spread. Videos of Eli entering the enemy ship played on screens around the world. Some people called him a hero. Others didn't believe it, but the truth was this. Earth had changed. Alien life was real. The universe was bigger and far more dangerous than anyone imagined, but it was also filled with friends. Ships from Kale's people, called the Thalari, began to arrive. They were tall, elegant beings with glowing skin and soft voices. They came not with weapons, but with gifts. They brought healing technology, clean energy systems, and peaceful knowledge. They helped repair what the Orthon had damaged. In return, they only asked to learn about Earth's people, music, languages, and stories. For the first time in human history, Earth had a place in something bigger. The Galactic Concord. Commander Rael called Eli to her office. She stood at the window watching a large Thalari ship float above the sea. You've done something no one else could do, Eli, she said. And now, they want you to represent Earth. Eli blinked. Me? Represent? Like a leader? More, like a messenger, Rael said. A bridge. The Galactic Concord wants Earth to send someone they trust to join the Council of Species, and they trust you. Eli looked down. I'm just a mechanic. I don't know how to speak in front of aliens. You spoke to the Orthons without fear, she said. You faced things no human ever has. You don't have to be perfect. Just be honest. Kale stepped into the room behind him. I will be with you, he said. Eli let out a breath. Okay, I'll do it. The next day, Eli stood inside the Unity Hall, a space station built by the Galactic Concord. It floated, between stars away from any planet in neutral space. Dozens of species gathered there, some tall, some small, some floating, some glowing, but all peaceful, all listening. He stepped onto the platform in the center. Lights above him dimmed. Everyone became quiet. Eli looked around nervously. Then he spoke. I'm Eli Carter, from Earth. I'm not a leader. I didn't train for this. I didn't study for this. A few aliens blinked in confusion. Some leaned closer, curious. I just saw someone who was hurt, and I helped him. That's it. He paused. But that one act changed everything. I learned that fear can close our hearts, but kindness opens them. My world is still learning. We have problems, we fight, we make mistakes, but we care, and we want to grow. He looked at Kale, who stood proudly in the crowd. Earth may be small, but it has something strong, heart. And if you give us a chance, we'll show you how much light a small world can share. The chamber stayed silent for a few seconds. Then came a soft hum, a Thalari song of welcome. Then other species joined in, each in their own way. Lights blinking, wings fluttering, colors changing. It was a sign of agreement. Eli smiled. The council had accepted Earth. Back on Earth, schools started teaching about other worlds. Children played with Thalari visitors in the parks. New medicines cured old diseases. New engines cleaned the skies. The Earth was still Earth, but better. Eli returned to his old life for a little while. He fixed broken heaters, cleaned solar panels, and helped neighbors. People waved at him now. Some asked for photos, but he never let it change him. He still wore the same jacket, still helped stray animals, still walked the same streets where it all began. One day, while walking home, he passed the same alley where he had first found Kyle. It was quiet. He stood there for a moment, remembering. And then he heard a small voice, behind him. Mr. Eli. He turned around. A young girl stood there holding a small round robot that was sparking and broken. It fell. Can you help fix it? She asked shyly. Eli smiled. Of course I can. Later that night, Kale joined him under the stars. They sat on the roof looking up. What now? Eli asked. Kale looked thoughtful. Now, we build a new age together. Eli chuckled. You're always so mysterious. Kale smiled. You are always so simple. But it works. They both laughed. Above them, the stars shimmered. A small ship flew across the sky. Another visitor, another friend. The universe wasn't as lonely as it once seemed. And Eli Carter, just a man who once fixed heaters, was now a symbol of something bigger, not power, not war, but kindness.